Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you're watching from. My name is Aniel Tamirano, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Empowering Teachers Worldwide. Today, I'd like to talk a little bit about how to embed formative assessment in a differentiated classroom. Differentiated instruction is an effective teaching approach composed of interconnected elements. And these elements are the environment, the curriculum, assessment, and instruction. Now, the environment refers to both the physical and the affective climate in the learning environment in the classroom. The way in which students experience the classroom learning environment shapes how they experience learning. If the curriculum is flat or seems to be detached from a student's world, that student's need for challenge or purpose is not met, and the environment suffers. That's why we need to have a quality curriculum. Assessment needs to inform teaching, because if assessment is punitive and fails to provide useful information to help students succeed, the environment feels uncertain. And if instruction is not responsive to student needs in terms of readiness, interest, and approach to learning, the environment doesn't feel safe and students don't feel valued. So, if we believe in the ability of the content that we give our students and the curriculum to improve their prospects and academic lives, we need to know how each student is progressing towards achieving important goals. So, assessment should be a natural diagnostic process in the classroom. So, for differentiation to be effective, we need to know for each student where that student begins and where that student is in their individual journey towards meeting the criteria of the lesson or unit. That is to say, assessment should be a kind of compass for daily planning in a differentiated classroom. So, how can we differentiate? We can differentiate through content, process, product, grouping, and questioning. Mm. We need to do different things in order to differentiate these elements of our teaching. And you can learn more about this process of differentiation and how can we can differentiate these elements of the curriculum if you watch some of the videos in my YouTube channel that are devoted specifically to differentiation. Now, um, when I talk about differentiation, uh, we need to think about instruction. Instruction is at the core of differentiation because the ultimate goal of differentiation is to make sure that each student has the best possible learning experience in order to maximize growth. So, achieving this depends on effective instructional practices, an effective curriculum, effective assessment, classroom leadership, and management. And we can differentiate it also according to students' readiness, interest, and learning profile. So, what is this? Readiness isn't a synonym for capacity to learn. It refers to a student's proximity to specific learning goals. So, planning instruction based on readiness guides us to ask, what does this student need to succeed? Interest, as we all know, is a great motivator for learning. It can refer to a skill, a topic that taps into a student's talents or experiences. And it can also refer to ideas, skills, work that appeals to the students. So the question we need to ask ourselves here is, what is this student interested in? And finally, the learning profile. Differentiation seeks to provide learners with approaches to learning that make the process more efficient or more effective. And learning profile is affected by gender, culture, environment, biology, and learning context. So, the goal of learning profile differentiation should be to create more ways in which learners can take in, engage, and demonstrate knowledge. Help them develop an awareness of what approaches to learning work best for them, and guide them to know when and how to change to improve the learning outcomes. So, the question we need to ask ourselves here is, what are the best approaches to learning for this student? So, it's useful to think about assessment in terms of when to assess, what should be assessed, and why assessment might be used. Effective differentiation requires us to assess the student's status before a unit of work begins, that is, pre-assessment. Also, it requires us to assess throughout a unit of work. That would be the formative or ongoing assessment, and also at key endings. That is summative assessment. Because, of course, summative assessment has a place here. Pre or diagnostic assessment helps us determine a student's starting point with learning targets. That is, the KUDs: knowledge, understanding, and be able. So this helps develop the awareness of students' interests and learning preferences. Formative ongoing assessment helps monitor their evolving knowledge, understanding, and skills. And summative assessment evaluates their status with the learning intentions. Now, what to assess? We have seen that there are three ways in which learning can be affected: readiness, interest, and learning profile. So, we can better focus our planning if we understand our learners' differences in these three areas. Therefore, we should assess all three. And of the three, understanding their readiness perhaps calls for more persistent assessment and also for more analysis of the information in order to plan curriculum and instruction. And when we are planning assessment, pre-assessment, it's important to be clear about what the students should know, understand, and be able to do as a result of a unit of study. So, we need to be clear on the critical vocabulary in the unit, the K, the know, basic understandings about the significance of the unit, and content skills at the core of what students will learn to do in the unit. Sometimes we may want to assess one of these three elements, but most of the times it makes sense to tap on all three because they are all important in understanding students' varying starting points with the content of the unit. So, the first uh, question we should ask when composing a pre-assessment is, what K's, U's, and D's am I trying to measure here? We may also want to assess their readiness to provide clarity of students' prior knowledge related to the content of the unit. This also helps identify misconceptions and gaps in knowledge or in skills. And it also provides information about their levels of mastery of the new content, so that instruction is appropriately targeted to the varied levels of proficiency. Well, this is all for today. In the next session, I will go on talking about a little bit about forms of assessment, pre and ongoing assessment strategies that you can use in the classroom. If you want to contact me or make a comment, here you have the way to contact me. Yes, by email, sorry, on LinkedIn. You can also visit my website and my blog where you will find more information about different aspects of teaching. I am also on Facebook, and as I have said before, you can find more information, more videos about assessment and differentiation in this YouTube channel. So, until the next one, bye.